Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm so excited to be going live today. This is my friend Sarah.
Hello.
And in this video, we are sharing how to increase your feminine energy radiance and how to adopt a goddess lifestyle. So this is a really exciting video because we're actually launching an entire 28-day protocol to do this very thing, which we'll talk about later on in the video. So I just want to say welcome to everyone who's joining. And if you're here live, we would love to know where you're from and feel free to ask questions throughout the entire time. So what we want to share is, well, I'll just talk a little bit about who I am and Sarah as well. So we met through our own healing journeys, and talk about what that looked like later, but we both experienced and struggled with this masculine energy mindset that so many people are indoctrinated with right now, and it's harming and hurting us, especially as women, because we are meant to not be in that masculine energy. And basically over the last 10 years, I've been unlearning a lot of that programming and relearning how to create everything that we desire, but from a feminine energy stance. And Sarah, also, you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I found Anya through her work, and I've been on a journey to kind of deactivate my masculine energy and balance it more with my feminine energy ever since. And it's definitely changed every area of my life.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
So it's something that, right now our culture is so pervasively ingrained with this masculine mindset, and we wanted to share a little bit about how that shows up. For example, just like the grind and the forcing and the pushing and controlling, the outcome-based mindset. So much of the way people live right now is like, okay, well, what I do now will help me get a result in the future. And all of that mindset is inherently a masculine energy mindset. Do you want to share more about?
It's kind of just the philosophy of like no pain, no gain, never miss a Monday, work hard, play hard. It's just so ingrained in our culture, and our value is often based on that. So it's kind of something that we need to alchemize.
Yeah, you said something that was really powerful, that one of the mindsets that we have in our culture right now is the harder I work, the more valuable I am. Mm-hmm. And we see that even with like the label like single mom. Inside of that label is actually an entire value that is like, when you say you're a single mom, you're actually bringing forth the meaning behind those words, which is there's an assumption of life is challenging because you have these responsibilities and you have to work really hard to keep up with it. And in that is sort of this like social acceptance and social like, what's the word?
Like almost like praise. Like
praise. Yes.
It's hard, so good for you.
Because
you're working so hard. Yeah.
Exactly. So we're praising and we're valuing hard work and effort and over ease and alignment ultimately, because anytime we're in alignment, things just like are easeful. And we're in this, like this hustle culture, and it doesn't, like, no pain, no gain, like you said. So we were talking about like our personal relationship with that and how that affected us. For me, it was personally feeling like I had to be perfect in order to have what I wanted. And like you said, once I reach my perfection, then I will get what I want, and I can't have it without being perfect. So that was a mindset that I had for a long time, and it caused me to one of the main ways it showed up in my life was through body image and exercise, where that was like an area of my life where I felt that if I could control my physical body and my physical beauty, because I couldn't control like the way I looked, like my face. So if I could make up for my imperfections by having a perfect body, then I would make up for what wasn't valuable about me. And that would be my avenue to have love and romance and relationship and the life of my dreams. So my entire life was built around striving for that perfection and overworking my body mostly at that time to the ground, not nourishing myself. And it was like, we were talking about this, like less is better when it comes to food and more is better when it comes to exercise. And that was the mindset. And so with that mindset, it's the absolute opposite to what actually nourishes our feminine bodies and helps the goddess energy within us to glow and to really be flowing. So do you want to add anything on this?
It was very similar for me. My mindset was that once I was perfect, I would be able to have the things that I wanted in life, and I would make these desire lists, and on every single one, it would say something about having a six-pack. Like that was like really going to get me love someday.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's just, and I think it's pretty common. I think it's just like so ingrained in our culture that we just accept it as the truth when nothing could be farther from the truth.
Yeah. Beautiful. And I remember like every New Year's I would sit and write out my New Year's resolutions, and it would be like, I'd write out lists of food I could eat and the exact workouts I would do in advance every day of the week. And like, the exact number of miles I would run. And it's so crazy to look back at that time, because now I'm like, I have no idea how many miles I could run next week. Like I have no idea what my body is going to be wanting on Friday. I have no idea what I'm going to need on Friday until it's Friday. And we can have intentions like, it's really powerful to have structure and baseline and, intentions. But what we've discovered, and really the whole way that feminine body beauty was birthed, is recognizing that even too much structure can backfire on us when we're in a process of healing our feminine energy, because we've been so pushed into our masculine energy and indoctrinated into that we ultimately have to sort of go cold turkey on it and go absolutely opposite into our feminine energy to find the balance. So just to check in, would love to hear and see who's here. So if you have any comments or questions, just let us know where you're from. We'd love to check out who's here. And yeah, so Feminine Body Beauty is ultimately, I started a program about 5 years ago based on my journey of healing, probably 3 years ago, on healing body image and eating disorders and relationship to food and all those things. It was birthed originally as whole body beauty. And since then, we've just discovered that it's really such an important and powerful curriculum that we need to ultimately expand it in a way that it reaches many more people. So Sarah has been helping me create that platform. And so we have an Instagram now. It's called Feminine Body Beauty. And you can find us. A feminine energy vantage point and approach. So it's, I think it's really crazy. Like even our approach to, like we were talking about this as well, like the spiritual world, personal development, personal growth, spiritual growth, self-development junkies, like all of these environments, all of these communities and programs and courses that I know that you're connected to, because like everyone in my community is, because this is a community that is around like spiritual growth and expansion. But here's the thing that I really want to start talking more and more about, which is every community that's oriented around self-development and self-improvement is ultimately, if we're not aware, perpetuating a mindset that actually holds us back. And that mindset is that there's something to improve about myself. I can be a better version of myself in the future. It's really, really sneaky because we've ultimately also been praised for being someone who we've been praised for being someone who works on himself and improves himself even. But at this point, with where we're at in our collective consciousness and where we're meant to grow into, ironically, we are meant to stop that mindset completely, detox it out, let it go, and come back to recognizing that it's absolutely impossible to be more valuable than you are right now. So, do you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, that is one of the biggest shifts that I think that you can make in your spiritual journey, is realizing that all of the work that you do to try to better yourself can actually be holding you back. And that was a huge shift for me, because you're just realizing that you are worthy right now. And it gives you so much more power in manifesting your life and your desires when you're coming from a place of knowing for certain that you are worthy right now in this moment.
Exactly. And yeah. So anyway, in our protocol, we talk a lot about that, and it's a big part. I'm just moving that a little closer. So I want to talk about, actually read this comment that Sarah shared. How can I find the right balance between feminine energy / being soft while not giving a first date the wrong signal? I have been subject to men touching me inappropriately in public on a first date. Yeah, so feminine energy does not equate to not having boundaries. In fact, it's the absolute opposite. The more you drop into your feminine energy, the stronger your truth becomes. And when you're truly in your feminine energy, you're connected to your truth. And your truth is not available for being inappropriately touched. And you don't need to carry any form of defense when you hold the defense of truth and transparency and honesty. And, so it's I actually am just about to write a post on any woman is a high value woman when they're connected to their truth. Because when you're connected to your truth, there's a lot of no's in your field. There's a lot of no, thank you. That doesn't work for me. Not interested in that. It's just not available. So, and sometimes we, avoid being touched in the first place. Yes, exactly. So to avoid being touched in the first place, again, it comes down to like what we're available for, just even. It's when you have, I don't know how to, I'm going to have you share on this.
I feel like part of having boundaries, and one of the ways that being in our feminine energy helps us to have boundaries, is that it actually activates our divine masculine energy, to protect and provide for our feminine energy. And so it can be a really beautiful balance between the two. And it actually makes you less vulnerable to these types of situations. Mm-hmm. You start to attract the kind of men who would never put you in that position, mm-hmm. to begin with.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah, and that's it. It's like it doesn't start to not even come into your field, but that comes from you getting super clear and rooted in your truth. Mm-hmm. Truly. And this is what I was going to say too. So oftentimes we think as women that like, yeah, if we speak our boundary, if we speak our truth, that should be enough. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of like a parent saying something to a kid, but not being energetically backed. Mm-hmm. If you're not energetically backed by that, it doesn't matter what you say, because the energy is not there, and the energy is what speaks more than anything. So we really need to learn. It's like this energetic intelligence that ultimately we're developing. And that's going to hold more weight than any word that you say. Because especially with men, they actually respect a woman who, it's they don't really respect a woman who's like saying that doesn't, it's not your words, unfortunately, if they're not matching a very powerful energetic integrity, they almost do more harm in terms of creating an energy of respect around us, because they don't hold that much weight, whereas they're meant to hold a lot of weight, but that has to come from your energy. So let's talk a little bit more about this whole. Yeah. So for me, I was on a journey in my early days of struggling a lot with eating disorders, struggling a lot with over exercising and binging. I would like steal my roommate's peanut butter because I wouldn't allow myself to buy peanut butter. So I would take their peanut butter, steal it, take a spoonful, put it back, steal handfuls of dry cereal. And, obviously was not the best roommate, but it was, I was out of control. I was completely out of control when it came to food. This was in college. And I was, my stress levels were increasing. When I was in college, that was the time when I felt like the most out of control, because I was studying neuroscience and my workload was insane and it was so intense. And I was carrying my big backpack of heavy books on my bike up the hill to UC Santa Cruz. And it was, I worked hard. Like, it was proud. Like, I worked hard, and it was, I was getting praise in that way. But when I look back, that was the time in my life where I felt actually the most out of balance. And I've had to recover from that time now for the last, 6 years. I got adrenal fatigue during college, and that was due to the over workload and like my mindset of pushing. I was also running cross country and partying on the weekends and not getting the proper nutrition and all these things. That was when my eating disorder, binge eating and over exercising were at, like, actually they were really strong in high school too, but that was when I felt the most out of control with binge eating. During high school, I was just over exercising constantly. So it was kind of, and I remember just realizing, like, there's something deeper that's causing this. There's a root, and it has to do with the way I see my value. And it ultimately came down to, I needed to be perfect enough to attract the kind of man that my family would approve of, that would work for, like, my social conditioning, what was acceptable, and that I wasn't inherently acceptable as I was. So I needed to improve myself. And that led me to, literally learn how to play the guitar. And I was like learning to play the guitar just because I thought it would make me more valuable. And I was studying neuroscience, not because I was like I was interested, but my truth was I wanted to study psychology. Like, I wanted to do psychology, but I thought, okay, if I do neuroscience, then, it's like a science path, I'll get a BS and all this stuff. But in truth, I actually had to pay for it later, energetically and with my health, because it wasn't in alignment with what I was supposed to do. And it was very depleting. So once I started to make this connection to, like, my motivation for what I do in my life is based in this place of it's really not healthy. It was a big wake up call, and then that's when things started to change. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But do you want to share your story of it?
Yeah. So I came from a place of being a pretty disordered eating background, and really I kind of always underate accidentally, but I got into this place where I was working in a bar. There was a lot of, like, comparison and competition among the women that worked there. And it was a pretty unhealthy environment for me with where I was at, and ultimately led me to taking a lot of diet pills and working out as much as possible, working crazy hours, and eating as little as humanly possible. And then in recovering from that, I went to a place of, like, what I kind of thought was the extreme opposite, but actually I know it was very similar, of just, like, counting every calorie and, like, measuring my portions in little containers. And while I was eating again, it was very regimented, very strict, and I was still exercising, like, way more than what was good for my body. It also led me to adrenal fatigue and severe burnout. and exhaustion. And that was right around the time that I kind of found these principles that we have been talking about, like with, at the time we called it whole body beauty, but it was a huge turning point for me.
Yeah. So where we are now today is like what I see out there. Like even, I love this comment. Thank you for sharing. Today I noticed myself sneaking my kids' Halloween candy. So if you notice yourself have any charge, any energetic charge, trigger around food or diet or doing something, like most women, I would say 95% of women haven't necessarily done the work to fully free themselves by stepping out of the masculine energy and into their feminine energy. That doesn't mean that they don't have any masculine energy, but it's the come from, it's the mindset come from that we are fully indoctrinated into a masculine conditioning, and it does not work for the feminine. So the goddess, for example, the goddess energy is the opposite of control. And yet we expect ourselves to stick to a ultimately rigid structure of exercise and to control ourselves when it comes to food. And we sneak and we give ourselves, like whatever days, like the days where you can eat whatever.
Cheat days.
Cheat days. We cheat and we sneak.
Yeah.
And really,
even the word cheat.
Yeah. Cheat and sneak. Yeah. Like the goddess is freedom, and anything goes for her. There's no rules. If there's rules, imagine a goddess being caged into a box. Like she's just like, F this. Like she's just like, like she's like Wonder Woman. It's just like instantly it's gone. There's no boxes. There are no boxes for the goddess. And so we're living in this. Okay, now I'm getting like we're at very different levels. Okay, thank you. That makes me feel more comfortable. So okay, now there's energy. So the goddess, we are living in a world where she is. We're trying to control her, and she is not meant to be controlled. She is meant to follow what feels good to her. In her truth, in her alignment, she chooses activities, men, relationships,
outfits,
lifestyle. Everything is by what feels good to her. And if it doesn't feel good to her, she's out. There's not even a moment that she stays. So when we beat ourselves up, it's like we're chaining the goddess, trying to put her in a cage. She's forgotten who she is, obviously. And we're hitting her with like a stick, and we're beating up the goddess. We're beating up our own feminine energy when we beat ourselves up, ever. I have heat around this because I know what it feels like to be stuck. And so yes, we'll answer all these questions if you just bear with us here. So our goal, our intention is to finally give a voice to the goddess and to truly listen to her and to trust her, to let her, to actually nourish and nurture her in a way that works for her rather than deplete. So actually that's perfect because we were going to talk about this. Feel into these words. Just feel into these words that we see them everywhere. This may be the way that you live your life, where you have, I keep looking outside because I'm like looking at the world. I'm looking at the people. I'm like, we're struggling because we're so intense. We have intensity. We have perfection, drive, outcome, results, pain, work ethic, hard work, effort. What else, Sarah?
Control is a big one.
Yeah. Control, strive, make things happen, suppress the body. So that's the way we're living. And all of that is a masculine energy mindset. Feminine energy, even I'm like talking like that. Feminine energy is nourishing. Like literally my hands move in because it's a movement of energy that's replenishing. It's refilling, refueling. It's nurturing, nourishing, putting my hands over my heart. Like it's heartwarming, calming, gentle, loving, pure. It's all about feeling good feelings, following good feelings. It's relaxation and rest, and it's all about listening to the body's signals because the body is the goddess. When you are on a rigid diet and a rigid workout plan and a rigid life path and beating yourself up and losing control and beating yourself up again, the disconnect between you and the goddess it's much greater than it needs to be. You are the goddess. You are the goddess, but it's like we've forgotten. We are the goddess chained up in that box, being beaten by our own selves. We are the source of our own exploitation. So, so thank you so much. That's really sweet. Thanks for sharing that. She said I have such a great example to follow. So I am only here from my own very challenging, journey. And I feel like I was absolutely at the far extreme of like struggling in my masculine energy and masculine programming. I was at the far extreme. And yeah, like we were both like way too skinny, way too, like my body was just tight. It was all muscles and constriction and tightness. I was not about the flow. So I'm going to answer this. I want to kind of address this question really quick. Is the goal to be balanced in both our masculine and feminine energy? And then the other question is meditation and mindfulness practices on a daily basis enough to get me out of my strong masculine energy? I'm unfortunately not feminine at all energetically. So every woman that comes to work with me, every single woman that has come into my field and into my deeper mentorship programs, they come in fearing that they're too masculine and they're not feminine enough. And every single woman that I work with is so feminine. So feminine. But there's the programming we've like lost touch with really knowing how to be in that feminine energy. So I'm not going to speak for you, but I bet if we bet, I doubt that you're not feminine. And I'm getting over a cold, so thanks for listening to my cold sounds. So yeah, do you want to talk on this a little bit?
Yeah. So your question about meditation and mindfulness, if that's enough, I think that sometimes the way our Western culture looks at meditation and mindfulness is from a really masculine perspective. And it's wonderful to have these practices, but when we're rigid and really structured around them, it can just bring us into our masculine even more. And part of being in your feminine energy is being embodied and like bringing, I don't know, I think meditation and mindfulness can like really activate our upper chakras and leave out the lower three. And one of the most powerful ways that I found is through doing like Anya's feminine energy activations are something that make you experience them in your body and in your subconscious. So it is the feminine. So I think there's ways of going about it that can be really beneficial in activating your feminine energy, or there are ways where it can just keep you in that masculine energy of like having to like, stick to a certain time or like, meditate for 10 minutes or, not think any thoughts and focus on your breath. So, and as far as if you feel like you're not feminine, I would agree with Anya that I bet you are. I bet if you're here listening to this in this environment, you are, or you wouldn't be here.
Exactly. There's not like a pull. Like there's not a pull. This is there's a pull. And so Sarah and I are leading a 28-day goddess lifestyle challenge, and it's ultimately a 28-day protocol to get you out of your masculine energy and into your feminine energy. And the main thing is I've resisted ever doing a challenge in the past, but we just embraced it. But the main thing that's different than ultimately like the other challenges that are out there most of the times we sign up for a challenge and we sign up because we want to get an outcome. And yes, there is sort of an outcome in this. It's like a shift. But the way that we're getting there is not through an approach of fixing anything. And that's the biggest thing is one of the mindsets that keeps us plugged into that masculine paradigm and programming is to self-improve and to fix something. And this 28-day protocol has nothing to do with fixing anything. It's about nourishing, restoring, and nurturing yourself, revealing, bringing forth, enhancing the feminine truth that you already are. So it's not about fixing, it's about getting you back through these practices and this protocol into that natural feminine radiance. And it's a whole process that includes, there's only 1 day, 1 or 2 days maybe that have any form of mindfulness and meditation, but it's one of my feminine activations. So it's really deep subconscious activation and embodiment work. And it's a lot of energy. Yeah, I won't even tell you, but it's a free challenge. So you can join, and the link to it is below in the description. And so the goal, as we said, is it to be balanced in both your masculine and feminine energy. And what I believe and feel after doing many years of studying this is, as you enhance and come into your divine feminine energy, you will call forth your inner masculine. You cannot be fully empowered in your divine feminine without having the infrastructure, base, strength, grounding of your masculine energy. Your inner masculine power is going to increase and develop and strengthen as your inner feminine is enhanced. But it's going to be there to support you. It's your inner masculine is solely directed and pointed towards you, and it's protecting you, but it's not controlling the world. It's not controlling your relationships or making things happen. Your inner masculine is fully devoted to you, and it does not have the leadership role in your life. You are the goddess. You can follow your own path. I don't know if that makes sense. So the program it should be in the description box below, but I'll put it right here as well. And we're starting tomorrow. So 28 days starting tomorrow. And so you're the boss of the masculine energy. In a way, it's more your inner masculine is you, and you're simply fully in service and devoted to yourself. Like, you have your own back. You have your own back. So Nadia, I would say let's bolster up your practices. So it's not just based in meditation, mindfulness, because there's so much more that's like in Feminine Body Beauty. One of the things that we share in that curriculum is anything that's passive, you receiving energetic support in any way is 20 times more powerful. It gets you many, many more points on the point scale than anything that you have to do. So, for example, getting a massage is actually going to increase your feminine energy in a way more than sitting down to do meditation, because it's all about you receiving. You don't have to do anything. It's literally you just being supported and helped. So we go much deeper into that in the challenge. And I'll just say, on a personal level, my entire life is based on these practices. And even in the last 6 months, I would say I have bolstered up these practices 3 times more than what I was doing before. And it's honestly drastically changed everything for me, because there were still ways that I wasn't fully nourishing and nurturing my feminine energy. And, we beat ourselves up again for not being feminine enough and being too masculine, but we don't provide ourselves with the right environment to be replenished. Yeah. Do you want to add to that, Sarah?
Yeah. So because we are so, the masculine energy is so ingrained in our culture, I feel like sometimes they almost need to go to the opposite extreme. And like Anya said, like your masculine energy is going to strengthen, and you're going to have that kind of like protection and that strong masculine energy force around you, but it's for you and not for the rest of the world, not for caretaking, not for benefiting anyone else but yourself, really. And then your gift in the world is your feminine energy, and it's who you are as a woman, and being receptive, really, to just all of life. Like that is such a gift.
It's everything. And it is so important to learn this and learn how to take care of yourself and how to take care of your feminine energy for relationships. Mm-hmm. So if that's something that you are, for whatever that you are wanting to cultivate and grow in your life, this is really, I feel like, the key. That we weren't taught this as women. We were not guided by goddesses in how to do this. And so, we're really kind of learning how to do this ourselves, and so we can have compassion for ourselves along that. I love what you were saying. It is our gift to learn. It's truly our gift to give, as to receive is really the gift that we have to give. It's the way it's supposed to flow. Because when we are filled up, when we are coated and seeded with the best seed and the best love and the best energy and the best penetration of power and support and all that, we birth beauty, we birth magic. And so but we have to be advocates for that fertility.
Yes. You feel so good to be around when you're in your feminine energy. Like, people just want to be in your presence, and it is healing for them. It's a gift.
Exactly. And you can probably think about that. Think of someone in your life a woman in your life that you really admire, and that feels really good to be around. It's just like, I've been using the word effervescence, like it's bubbles, like there's bubbles and effervescence that flow off of her. And that's the Shakti force. Mm-hmm. Shakti is the divine feminine energy. There's one thing I wanted to share really quick, which was that, so if you've ever had acupuncture, which is a really potent and powerful form of healing, I love it. Ultimately, what they do in acupuncture is they put the needles in energy centers that have been blocked or are stagnant. So the energy is not fully flowing thoroughly through that energy center due to restriction or constriction or blockages. And that's really what our society and our way of life has done, is it's taken our feminine energy centers and like constricted them so much that there's no life force flowing through them. There's no Shakti. Our every energy center has been sort of blocked, except for the ones that are driving and making things happen and forcing and controlling. We don't know how to just like bring all of our energy into this present moment. It's all being driven forward. So it's almost like the protocol is like little acupressure points. Yeah. Like we're just doing like one a day. And over time it begins to unlock the different energy centers and channels. And as your energy comes back, as your feminine energy begins to flow through you, it's like we're removing dams off of a river.
Yeah.
It's the water's there. Your feminine power is there. Mm-hmm. It's just we get to remove the blocks and support it, create the support so that your power can flow through you. It's already there. We do not have the power to make you more powerful than you are. We just have, you're already powerful. And it's just learning it's learning this way of life, this way of being. And that's what we're here to teach, and that's what we're here to share. So, as you know, I have my platform is called Elevated Woman, and I've been teaching these things for a while. But Sarah has been helping me build Feminine Body Beauty, which is our like a branch of Elevated Woman, and it's directed toward just purely a feminine energy lifestyle and learning how to create health, abundance, success, beauty, radiance, confidence from a place of feminine, that's actually aligned with your feminine energy and your feminine power. And she's gone through the program, and she teaches it now. So she's when you go through our programs through Feminine Body Beauty, you work with both of us, and it's really fun. But yeah, I just wanted to introduce you to Sarah, and we are excited to start this challenge and to invite you all into it. It's going to be so fun. It's like an entire month of being in your feminine energy.
Yes. It's going to be very fun.
Yeah. So we hope you join. And let's see, last couple of questions. If you have any more questions, this would be the time. Happy to see you here, Angela. Thank you. To be honest, I was thinking of activating my feminine energy to become more successful and influence men better. Will the program work with me having this reason? Okay. Do you want to say?
I don't know. I'm curious what you have to say about that.
Okay, yeah. The ultimate truth. So there's false feminine energy, and there's a lot of people teaching about feminine energy right now. And we can, just like pick up, we can use the goddess. We can use her. Mm-hmm. We can use her powers to manipulate. But the beautiful thing about the goddess is she's not available to be used. So in the end, it won't work. It just won't work. And we really have to ask permission to her in order for any of this to work. And the one thing that I'll say, there's feminine energy, and then there's true feminine energy with a capital T. And true feminine energy is that's real power. So I would say, and I think you're so awesome for asking this question. And I think we've all thought about this. Like, as you develop and access these tools, you gain power. And just like all the movies we've ever seen, when someone gains power, then they have to ask the question of, what do I do with this power?
How do I use this power? Yeah. And you will, in your feminine energy, activate men to provide and protect you. But having like an outcome in mind, like a specific outcome, is more the masculine, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's one of the things, like in my mentorship programs, one of the first things we do is we detox all of the desires. Mm-hmm. We ultimately go through a process of like cutting away the motivation behind even signing up for the program, because that's going to get in the way of you being the receptacle, the receiver of what's meant to come to you. Mm-hmm. And so you can receive, if it's financial stability, if it's abundance, and that, like, what does being provided for financially provide you? What does that make you feel? For me, that makes me feel secure and relaxed, and I can just take a deep breath, and it feels easeful. Mm-hmm. And that is alignment for me. I'm meant to have that experience, but I get to receive that because I'm in alignment with it, not because I'm going after it. Yeah. And one more thing too, like, I am only interested in having anything if it's like the true form, because I know anything that's not the truth is going to break down and dissolve and crumble. So I've even many times with my entire business been like, please just wipe everything clean. Like, take it all away. If I'm not meant to have a business teaching this, if I'm not meant to do this, like, this is not it's the goddess, and I am in service to the highest energy of love and light. And I'm not here to use the goddess. So if I ever do that, please keep me like, I'm only interested in being in integrity with the wisdom, because that's the only thing that will ever be lasting. Yeah. We're so excited for the challenge. I'm so excited. So awesome, Giselle. Happy to know that you signed up. And we're going to be starting tomorrow. So follow us on Instagram at Feminine Body Beauty. And you can also sign up. If you sign up through the link, then you'll get all the details and the replays and that kind of thing. And awesome. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, no matter what it is that you desire, it's just like I personally am devoted and dedicated to like the highest energies, and my life is, things have crumbled out of my life, but when I look around, even at my physical space, like I'm constantly getting rid of things when I feel like there's a pot that I just don't really like I'm ready to get rid of it. It's that one. If it's not in full service of like my joy and my happiness, it's like it gets to go, so over time you can really just like refine and let things leave our lives. And so awesome. Do you have any final words or thoughts?
I'm just really excited to do this challenge with you guys.
Yes.
It's going to be a really good time.
It's so fun.
So fun, yeah.
We get to be together for like a whole month.
Mm-hmm.
And again, these are like personal practices. This protocol is like what I've been working with to heal and to stay in my feminine power and to stay in my lane as a woman. It's like the only thing that helps me do that, really. So
yeah, it's a daily practice, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Sending so much love. We will see you soon.
Bye.